The only thing is this book at some level has also probably stirred up a bit of concern from not only people like me, but people in the Jewish world. Wouldn't you say?
You can't imagine what an understatement that is. So a week ago yesterday, last Sunday night, October 15th, was the official book launch in Jerusalem. And we were blessed to have about 150 people there, including whatever contributors were in Jerusalem at the time that I could get to come, whatever people from the nations were still there. It was just after the Sukkot holiday ended, and of course, Jewish people, English-speaking Jewish people from the Jerusalem area and all over Israel. And it was a fabulous evening, and I was kind of riding high, a lot of interest in the book. I spoke, 5 different contributors spoke, 3 Jewish people and 2 non-Jewish people spoke, and I felt like it was very warmly received. Almost the very next day, I started to get...
Then the air hit your lungs, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. I started to see things appearing online, people, and
right.
Both the nations and the Jewish people have to be ready
right.
to figure out how do we renegotiate our relationship now, because everything's changing.
And I think that's why this book is so important. There are a lot of people, and I get this on a regular basis. I'll have someone call me, say from Borough Park or from Chicago, from a Jewish center somewhere, that says, "Oh, I just came on your website and saw all this and and I realize it's Torah for non-Jewish people, blah blah blah." And I didn't know people were interested. And I'm thinking, wow,
right.
This is big, and you don't know this.
It's part of my mission to introduce this idea to my fellow Jews. I'll tell you honestly, before a few years ago, I didn't really know it either. And it's only because, you've been involved in this a lot longer, but it's invisible to the vast majority of Jewish people.
Yeah, I get it.
So some people are really still stuck in the paradigm of anybody who's non-Jewish is an enemy, and you have to huddle around. It's a very galut. It's a very
right.
diaspora kind of
It is.
mindset. Do you want to say something?
No, go ahead. I'm just agreeing.
And I'm introducing a total paradigm shift for people from the nations who are involved with Torah, who are starting to honor Shabbat, who've been studying Parsha, who have been eating biblically clean, who've been observing biblical festivals, whatever stage they're in their own study, they know about themselves. Excuse me, but this phenomenon is really new information for the vast majority of Jews in the world. And so I have 2 missions. The job itself really is to help. How can I, as an individual person, help advance Geula? And I didn't go looking for this job. This is a job that God gave me. It's so clear to me that He assigned me this job, and He kept putting people in my face who were telling me stories that really boggled my mind. In the beginning, I didn't know what to do with it until I realized there's something going on here that connects all of these individuals and all of their stories. And then when I found this verse from Zechariah, or I remembered this verse from Zechariah, and I said, oh my gosh, I think this is what it is. Mm-hmm. And that is, to the best of my knowledge today, because I'm also learning, that is what I think is going on. And it's part of getting the world ready for Messianic days. Except that I couldn't figure out in the beginning why all these non-Jews were coming to me, why they were reaching out to me on Facebook. It was such a puzzlement to me that I would say, how did you find me? Because I don't represent an organization or institution the way that you do. I'm not, before this book, I wasn't particularly identified with any of these issues. And the only answer I have is that God sent them to me because He was trying to teach me something. He was trying to get me to open my eyes and see this phenomenon for what it is. and to do something about it, to introduce
Right.
this concept to other people. But for several years, I had all these random people contacting me on Facebook saying, "Hey, you're like a Jew in Israel. I have a question for you."
Wow.
And while it was going on, until I put some pieces together, it was just like, wow, this is so weird. What is up with this? And then in retrospect, that's what I really think. I really think that, like, how did they find me? There's, I don't know how many English-speaking identifiable Jews there are on Facebook who live in Israel, but there's, plenty. So it's just part of God working. That's